Hello, welcome to this section on building business cases for IT investment proposals. This is part of Module 4 on IT funding decisions. Just as a quick overview, for many of you who work, particularly in larger companies, at any given point in time, larger organizations can have multiple IT projects competing for funding dollars where there are limited resources. And so you may have different business unit managers, functional areas, the IT department, all vying for money for funding for projects that they consider essential to their particular areas. And so the question is, how do organizations sort through these needs and prioritize IT investments? And to the extent that they can, in somewhat of an objective way, identify the business value for these different IT projects, then they can differentiate between these are projects that we need to fund because they're going to provide more business value. We're going to pass on these particular opportunities. And so that's where we get into a discussion of developing the IT business case, or the case for justifying a particular IT investment. And so when you're writing a business case for an IT investment proposal, there really should be, I feel, two key components of this. You should always do the financial business case. So what are the numbers? What are the costs? What are the benefits over time? What's the return on investment? So certainly the kind of the economic model of this investment, what value does it return financially? But also, and I think this is where sometimes companies miss the boat, is they consider the what I call the strategic component of the strategic business case, where they really look at the more of the qualitative aspects. So what are some of the maybe some of the factors of this particular IT investment that, while maybe not quantifiable, are yet still important? And so you really need to look at both. So an IT business case should incorporate both a financial case and what I call the strategic business case. And so again, the financial case is simply looking at the benefits, the value of the project from an economic perspective. So you got to identify the stream of benefits as well as costs initially and over time, and use some type of financial metric like net present value, internal rate of return to compare projects. And certainly, if you can do this effectively, that helps greatly in differentiating between which projects you should fund versus those that you shouldn't. But as we'll talk about, one of the key challenges here, and I think particularly on the benefits side, is unfortunately, I think many IT projects don't lend themselves just to a strict financial analysis. I mean, you always need to do it. But for example, let's say, in the one reading, our CIO, Barton, is looking at trying to get a security upgrade funded. And so how do you quantify the benefits of that? I mean, can you put an ROI on that? Can you say we're going to get a 15% return on investment on that? And so that's kind of the rub here, is that while you always need to do the financial business case, the numbers don't tell the whole story. And that, that I guess that could be heresy if you're a financial professor. But I think in reality, again, you need to do the numbers, but that's part of the picture. So what are some of the other strategic considerations as well, which is really what the strategic business case gets to. You're looking at the financial case, you're looking at the numbers, you're looking at the proposed investment from an economic perspective. But in the strategic business case, you're saying, okay, what are some key strategic considerations if we do invest in this project? How's this going to bring value to us in terms of helping us achieve, let's say, our business objectives, helping us improve competitively, helping us maybe with business process improvement, or maybe improving our brand or better reaching our customers. And some of these things, while extremely important, may not be easily quantified. I'm talking a little bit further about the financial business case. On the cost side, typically what you would do is if you're involved in building the financial business case, is you would identify, what are the one-time costs for the project and what are the recurring costs over time. So you would do your basically your due diligence and working maybe with IT folks, working with people in your accounting department, maybe vendors, talk with vendors. You would identify the detailed one-time costs for this project. Here's what it's going to cost us to develop, to acquire, to deploy this technology, the one-time costs, and also the recurring costs. And so you need to do that for the financial model, because to determine a return on investment, you need to identify both the costs and the benefits over time. So these would be some, and you can look through these, just some examples of one-time versus recurring costs for IT projects. Now on the benefits side, so you want to project the flow of benefits over time, as well as the costs. And the benefits, your benefits could be stated in terms of cost reduction, or cost avoidance. So certain types of projects will, their benefits will be in terms of how these projects will help you to cut costs. Other IT projects may be more value or revenue enhancing types of projects. So for example, a CRM system would be, a value enhancement type of project. And these are just some examples. So I would say that value enhancement type of benefits, they tend to be more intangible and oftentimes may be more difficult to convince others of projected dollar value. So, at Baylor, we implemented a new learning platform, Canvas, and we picked that over a company called Blackboard. Well, how do you put a dollar value on that? I mean, it's difficult. How do you put a dollar value on? We're going to implement a CRM system here in this company, and so how do you quantify the benefits of that over time? And so, it can be difficult. So what I would say is when you're talking about, building a financial model, or the financial justification for project, I think particularly on the side of the benefits, that's where it can become problematic or challenging to quantify benefits. And additionally, when you're implementing a project, the costs may be occurring now, but there may be a lag time between implementation and when you actually experience the benefit stream from that project. So let's say a CRM, I mean, you're paying right now for consultants and software, implementation and so forth, but, once you start using the CRM, you may not, these benefits may not cycle in until later. So I think you need to consider that as you build your financial model, and you need to be, use reasonable assumptions on that. Another question that just comes up from time to time, and I think this came up in one reading, which is interesting. So what happens when you're proposing an IT investment that's going to, you say it's going to increase employee productivity? Okay, well that's a great thing. So if the resulting productivity results in lower staffing levels, then I think that the benefit stream is relatively straightforward in terms of being able to quantify that via reduced payroll. But what if no employees are terminated by this? So yes, they're being more productive. You're not actually lowering or reducing payroll. So I think a common mistake is simply saying, well, we're going to monetize this by multiplying hours saved annually by the hourly pay rate. So this is the benefit, where you may not actually be realizing that benefit. So that's just a word of caution to that, if I'm making sense at all with that. So in reality, maybe only a portion of this time saved may be translated into new value-added work activities. And what I would consider is try to focus on, okay, if employees are becoming more productive, how's that impacting actual performance outcomes, or things that you can, let's say metrics that you can identify associated with this increase productivity. Maybe it's in an accounts receivable department, it's lower, where our people are more productive, they're able to work more to lower, let's say, our accounts receivable balances or something like that. So I think the bigger picture here is when you're doing the financial model or the financial business case, particularly on the benefits side, you're projecting these benefits over time, and typically, it could be, 3 to 5 year time frame. You want to try to be reasonable, and use well-documented assumptions for estimating the benefits of a project, and use assumptions that are realistic and reasonable and not pie in the sky. And on the same token, I think on the cost side, make sure you fully identify and document all your costs, and avoid the tendency to understate costs. So once costs and benefits are defined over a given time period, you can apply one or more valuation models to come back with return on investment. Again, the caveat: avoid overstating benefits and understating costs. And secondly, your financial model should be complemented with a strategic business case or the narrative. So you're really, by doing this, you're really telling the whole picture, giving the whole picture for the decision makers. Here are the financial merits of this IT investment if we move forward with it, but then here are all these kind of qualitative / strategic considerations captured in this strategic business case narrative. So the summary here is that winning IT projects, so those that get funded, they do require strong internal support, and I think you're going to have better support if you provide a well-crafted business case that, again, I know I'm repeating myself, that articulates both the strategic and the economic value, both of those considerations. It should be presented in business terms that business people understand. And again, another caveat here is that the financial business case may be difficult to monetize, particularly due to intangible benefits. I think costs can sometimes be difficult, but in particular, the benefit stream just may be hard to quantify. But you still need to do the financial business case. And really, the final thing here is this set of slides here is I threw this in here just I didn't want to spend a lot of time, but just a quick example on Northeastern University in, of course, I think in Massachusetts. And I used to have my students read an article. What they did is they had an interesting environment where they had very disparate opportunities within the university for IT investment. The article said that the financial returns were often so indirect that failed as an investment justification. The senior execs on campus weren't tech savvy. The university budgets were fixed. The demand for IT services was growing. So the real conundrum they had is how do we rank and prioritize IT investments? What they did is they actually came up with and I'm using this term, a balanced scorecard, where essentially what they did is they distilled projects into two overriding considerations. What's the likelihood they're going to succeed, and what's the value? And so they used a scorecard to rank proposed IT investments. And so the project champion or sponsor would present to the group, and a steering committee, which was going back to our discussion of IT governance, and they would present, and then they would rank the project. They just allocate scores. Project X, they get the presentation, while the group would rank it along these dimensions, and you can see the competitive advantage was a dimension of value that they defined. And so again, this is kind of a quasi. It's not a it's not an economic justification, but they tried to come up with some means, some objective means to vet, to rank, to prioritize these investments. And so the benefit of this is it forced a conversation. It forced them to look at different IT investment proposals through the same lens. And this was their definition of value. And so they could rank and prioritize these projects. And they would also, they also did the same on a number of factors related to the probability of success. So the benefit to this particular organization was, while, okay, we're not able to particularly quantify these proposed IT investments, this does give us a means as a group, really a form of IT governance to discuss, to evaluate, and then to rate or to prioritize the value of these projects based on these factors that we defined or we designate as being important within our organization. So all to say is that IT funding decisions are major decisions that organizations face. And so my advice is to have some type of systematized process, IT governance, where these different projects are analyzed and vetted. Try to prioritize, which project do you think brings the most value to the organization. And so I think the whole point of this discussion is to properly do this, you need to consider both the financial narrative, what are the economic merits of this particular project, as well as the strategic merits. So if you do both, that tells the whole story. Thank you.